Hello and welcome to the third and final installment in my series talking about my favorite albums of 2025. If you haven't watched the other two videos yet, go ahead and watch those, though it really doesn't matter what order you watch them in, since this is all unranked beyond the final one. In this episode will be my favorite album of 2025. There's really nothing else to say, so let's just go ahead and get into the list. And we'll go ahead and kick things off with some Celtic black metal. Over here from Scotland, we have Saor, Amidst the Ruins. This was one of my very favorite things I listened to in 2025. Obviously, loving Celtic music and loving black metal, I have listened to this band before. Now, this is a one-man band masterminded by Andy Marshall, but he has quite a few guests appearing on this album as well. I think particularly Ella Zlotos. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, I apologize, but her vocals on this were a very, very welcome addition. I especially liked the parts where both of them were singing together, and obviously I love tin whistles, and she provided some tin whistles on this. Carlos Vivas also as the drummer for this album was incredible. The accordion is also one of my favorite things on this album. There were actually quite a few black metal albums I listened to in 2025 that had accordion in them. But yeah, I love atmospheric black metal and I love Celtic folk music, so blending them together is just incredible for me. This is masterfully done on this album. I kind of butchered that sentence, but I think you understand what I mean. I really love this album. This is incredible music. And it's another black metal album I can recommend that has kind of an uplifting feel to it here and there. The closing track on the album, Rebirth, for instance, was very uplifting, I think. Just a really nice melody to close things out. Super awesome album that just makes me feel like I'm walking through the Highlands. And now we'll move on from black metal to death metal with Cult of Uzura by Skaphos. I'd never even heard of Skaphos before, so this was a welcome surprise. I went back and listened to their other work too, and I can confidently say Cult of Uzura is the best thing this band has done so far. And the other stuff is really cool too, but this album is just incredible. Listen, if you can remind me of Nile with some of your guitar riffs, you're doing something right. Skaphos is from France, and this is some Lovecraftian kind of stuff going on here lyrically. Plus, in addition to Nile-like riffs, if you have Nile-like drumming, that's also really cool, and Nathan Fowler absolutely destroys the kit on this album. Plus the background vocals and the throat singing, so cool. The guitar tone is really awesome too. I really like the opening riff from Madman in the Sea. It really lets you hear that guitar sound really clearly when it's just isolated, and it is super cool. A great tone for this type of music. It's really kind of otherworldly, blackened death metal. Echoes of the Drowned and The Offering were two other really awesome songs on this. Yeah, this was really sick. If you like Lovecraftian stuff, definitely check this out. It's a wild ride. Very unique sounding album. Super dig that. Moving on to something completely not metal. This is Anna Tivel. I've talked about Anna Tivel before. The new album is Animal Poem, and just like everything else she does, it is great. I love her voice. I love her poetic lyrics. I like the somber music. A lot of times with albums like this, I tend to get a little bit bored, but Anna Tivel never bores me because she just has particular qualities that I very, very much enjoy. I really can't get over how much I love her voice. I'd probably put her in my top 10 favorite female vocalists. I really don't have much else to add. It's just really good, somber folk music with really poetic lyrics and wonderful, wonderful vocals. And we'll move on now. Completely different kind of female vocals, much more heart-wrenching, screaming vocals. Here we have Fragile, the newest from Sorry, which is how I've been saying it because it's got the ellipses in the band name. And this is a depressive black metal band from Greece. I think this is kind of masterminded by Dimitris, but here he is joined by Kenna Warren, I believe is the name of the vocalist, and Kamisma does synthesizers and piano on this album. And I really love the synthesizers and the piano on this. I think that type of stuff adds a lot to depressive black metal. So that's really cool. The bass of the music is also really cool. And yeah, the vocals are incredible. Some of my favorite vocals that I've heard in depressive black metal. So yeah, this was another band that I had not listened to prior to this releasing, and I went back and listened to the old stuff. And again, all the old stuff is great too. And I do think that this is probably my favorite release from the band so far. Also, the closing track was pretty interesting, being a synthesizer-based depressive black metal song. Like, I don't think there's even guitars in it, but it absolutely fits into that category. I love this type of music, so I'm always excited to find a new band that I like in the genre. And next up we have Kalaveraztekah, I believe is maybe how you say that. Nikan Axkan. This is a band from Mexico, and as you can probably tell by the name of the band having Aztec in it, they do have Aztec themes, which is really sick. Not only that, they have like Aztec tribal music mixed into the death metal. The Metal Archives lists this as folk/progressive death metal. That's a really good way to describe it. But yeah, it is very Aztec coded, which is super sick and super unique to me. I had never heard a metal band incorporate that type of sound into death metal. And boy, is it great. I really, really dug it. I think my only complaint is maybe the guitar tone could have been a little bit different so that it popped a little bit more. But it does let all of those tribal instruments really shine through. The added percussion on this album is also really incredible. And man, the vocals are really cool too. There's like some chanting parts, like the final track on the album, the chorus of that one is super huge. Yeah, I just really love this kind of intricacy with the lyrical theme and the musical theme being one. Another thing that kind of reminds me of Nile, even if it's not necessarily musically reminding me of Nile, it kind of reminds me of the feeling of listening to Amongst the Catacombs of Neferin-Ka with all those kind of Egyptian musical things going on. I think you get what I'm saying. But you can probably hear it in the sample that I'm playing right now anyway. Once again, we get flutes on a metal album also. I love flutes in metal. What can I say? Well, I guess that I love flutes in metal. That is precisely what I can say. Actually, I can say a lot of things. But mostly right now, I just want to say this album is incredible, and you should go listen to it. It is very unique, very interesting, and I've never heard anything like it before. I don't want to butcher any of the song titles, but the 6th track, the one with Coyote in the title, I absolutely love the opening chugging riff in that song. And hey, you want cool guitar stuff? The 2nd song on this album has 3 guitar solos in it, and they're all awesome. Speaking of awesome, this is another contender for my favorite album art of the year. That is so cool. Once again, I forgot to write down the name of the artist, so that'll be on screen here if I can find it. So cool. If you want an album that sounds like that album cover looks, here you go. Kalaveraztekah did a fantastic job here. Alright, moving on, we have... this was a newer one I found. Lazer Throne, Tomb of the Lunar Oracle. Yeah, this was a very late edition, actually. I just listened to this like a week ago, and we're at the end of January at the time of recording this. Man, I cannot speak. One-man band from Canada. Super sick, atmospheric black metal out of Arizona, with another really cool album cover. And it's got a lot of really cool dungeon synth added on top of the black metal. Very well mixed together. It's very cohesive on this album. It's only 4 tracks, but it still manages to run for 41.5 minutes. But I never got bored listening to it. In fact, I was pretty pumped on it all the way through. Even when it slows things down for like the 3rd track, Dark Star Drinks Her Radiant Tears, it's kind of doomier in that song, at least for some of it. There is still some pretty quick blast beats going on with some more black metal stuff going on later in the song. And then we close things out with Her Tomb, A Vessel to Stars, which is 15 minutes long. and it is epic. So cool. This is a really, really great album. I'm super glad that I stumbled onto this here at the end of January before I started filming this video. Definitely one of the best black metal releases of 2025. Okay, anyway, moving on to a band that I had heard of before, Nordicwinter, Solitude. We're back into depressive black metal. Nordicwinter is one of my very favorite bands in this genre, and this album just furthers my love for the project. But Nordicwinter is a one-man depressive black metal band from Canada, and that really makes sense when you consider how cold this music is. Once again, I really like the piano on this album. I really like the kind of washed out sound of the whole thing. I think the drums sound really cool on this album. I think they mix super well into those washed out guitars. This is definitely an album I like to sit down with a cup of coffee and listen to. I also really like the lead guitar lines a lot. I like the way that they harmonize with everything else, which is one of the things that I really love about Nordicwinter's music, and obviously he's going to keep doing that because it works so well. And the somber closing instrumental track as the last light fades is actually one of my favorite moments on the album. It's pretty much everything that I want out of depressive black metal. It's just so well done. And yeah, this is definitely up there. It's one of my favorite Nordicwinter albums. It's hard to pick a favorite one because they're all pretty much of the same quality. Whenever he puts out music, you just know it's going to be great. But I think it's really cool. I get a lot of catharsis out of listening to this. So thank you, Nordicwinter. You make my day better with your depressive music. Okay, moving on. Okay. This is still black metal, but it's a lot more uplifting. This is the new self-titled album from Adorn, band from the UK. I'm not sure exactly where. But yeah, I was really shocked to hear about this album coming out. I think the band's only other release was in 2013, if I remember correctly. So I was really not expecting them to ever put out another album, but hey, 2025 was the year. And just like the previous release, which was called Grace, the self-titled album is beautiful. There's just something so special about this really kind of just gorgeous, uplifting music with swelling strings with blast beats underneath it. There's also a new addition to the band's sound on this album, though, with vocals. The first release was entirely instrumental, I believe. So that was really cool. But yeah, this was such a great surprise. I really loved the opening track, Secrets of the Heart and Tudor Garden. I think those were both incredible songs. The whole album, though, is great. Those two just stood out to me as particularly great. I'm super happy that the band put out more music, and hopefully they continue to put out new music, because this is just so unique and I really, really love it. Very cool. Let's move on to something kind of completely opposite again. I don't know, can you have two different opposites? This is brutal death metal. This is Omnicidal Instinct with Catharsis and Blight. And yeah, that is a really sick album cover. So I've mentioned Nile twice already with the just the thematic stuff for Kalaveraztekah and kind of the riffing style and the drumming on the Skaphos album, which that one musically is closer to something like Those Whom the Gods Detest. But this album actually reminds me a lot of like the rhythm guitars on Annihilation of the Wicked, which is high praise from me. It's kind of like that old school Nile feel, but with some slam riffs every now and then. But yeah, this is a three-piece from Germany, and man, are they brutal. The vocals are exactly what you expect, through that gurgling style, but every once in a while there's a little bit of a different sound here and there that's really cool. Yeah, about 2 minutes and 10 seconds into the first song, with the heavy reverb on the vocals, it is so cool. I really, really dig this type of guitar tone. I think that these riffs just sound incredible through it. I really like that drum sound too. The snare was really cool. But yeah, I was super stoked on this when I listened to it, because I really love that old school Nile sound, and nobody has really done anything similar enough to it that I've been excited about. And then this comes along, and it's that type of sound, but it's not like ripping off Nile or anything. They've got their own thing going on with, like I said, they got some like slam riff type things going on. They're more of your classic brutal death metal stuff going on in this, but man, it just really reminded me of something that I really love. So obviously I really loved this too. I have a lot of fun listening to this 20-minute EP that I can just put on repeat. Super sick. Once again, looking forward to more music from this band in the future. Definitely go check them out. Alright, next up we go back into black metal with Wivre, I think is how you say this, which is the even older form of Wyvern. When it comes to medieval black metal stuff, France is kind of the place to go for it. So lo and behold, another French kind of medieval folk, atmospheric, melodic black metal band. And yeah, this is another one-man black metal band, because of course it is. It's very epic in nature, like it kind of reminds me of Havakunu in certain parts. I really like the moments with acoustic guitars layered over the black metal, like the first full black metal song on the album, which is the second track, Frost Dominion. About halfway into that song we get that, and it's really cool. There's a interlude track in between each of the main black metal songs on this, which that could get annoying, but I really loved it. I really liked the kind of medieval acoustic style of playing guitar. That was kind of a weirdly worded sentence. I love medieval folk music, and I love black metal, and there are a lot of bands that mix those things really well. Wivre is definitely one of the ones that I'm going to be looking out for in the future. I really like the lead guitars on this album too, just providing a lot of extra melody. The sixth track, The Hunt, was a really good example of that. Another one that about halfway through we get some acoustic guitar put into the black metal. Awesome album that was just right up my alley. There was quite a bit of good medieval black metal that came out this year. And actually, there's another band I almost said this reminded me of, but we're going to be talking about that band later in this video. So we'll save that for later. It'll be, I think, the last black metal album I'll be talking about in this video. You'll see. It's really awesome too. But this band is also one that you need to go check out if you like medieval black metal. This was one of the best albums that came out in the genre in 2025. Hands down, one of the best. Best. It's one of the best. Also one of the bests, but in the realm of... Oh, no, this is the same genre. Never mind. I actually forgot that I put this one right next to it when I was ordering these. This is Woven Throne with The Siege of Sorrow's Gate. This is only a 3-song EP, I believe. Yeah, only 3 songs, but these are 3 of the best songs in black metal from 2025. Apparently this band is from New Orleans, Louisiana. Kind of surprising, I guess. I didn't expect kind of a medieval black metal band to be from Louisiana. But hey, who cares where they're from? This is some incredible music. I really liked the mix on this. I like the guitar sound a lot. I like the drum sound a lot. I think the vocals are really great on this too. Pretty much everything about the Wivre album you can apply to this. They're not like exactly the same type of music, obviously, but they are kind of in a similar vein. I would put them both in the medieval black metal category. I actually really like the kind of dungeon synth opening on the second track, Old Moonlight. That was pretty cool. I like this album art a lot too. I also like the band's logo with the moon and the sword in the middle of it. That's really cool. Awesome band. They don't have a whole lot of music out, but all of it is very good quality. And I think this might be my favorite thing they've done so far. Really sick stuff. I'm glad that I stumbled onto this one. Okay, moving on. We get another EP. Cell Intruder with Den of Deformity. This was awesome. This was some of the best grimy death metal that I listened to the entire year, and maybe my favorite snare tone from the entire year. It is so loud and so awesome. But yeah, this is a death metal band from Louisville, Kentucky, and actually I found them from a split EP. I think I got that next, don't I? Yeah, here we go. Entombed in the Terra Crypt. This was a 4-way split with Brain Matter, Swamp Grave, who I had heard before, which is why I listened to the split, Cell Intruder, obviously, and then Dysmorphia. closed it out. They all of these bands put out EPs this year in addition to this split, which I guess I got a small picture here for it, but whatever. I'm sure it's big enough you can see it. Pretty cool cover. But yeah, all those bands were awesome. But Cell Intruder is the one that really stuck out to me out of their individual EPs. I thought this was really, really incredible. Some of the most fun I had the entire year was listening to this EP. I'd say this is probably right behind my favorite EP of the year, which I talked about in the last video. Go watch the last video if you haven't yet. Super fun, super grimy, gritty, old school, disgusting, filthy death metal, and I am just so here for it. Another thing that really stands out on this album, though, is the vocals. You can definitely tell this guy is a fan of cattle decapitation. He's got those kind of Travis Ryan snarls down pat. Now, I love Travis. I love his high snarls, so when I hear someone else do them, I immediately have to compare it to that. And I'm sure that's probably where the inspiration came from for the vocals on this. But wow, are they done super well in this. The lows actually reminded me of Travis a little bit too in places. Super, super sick. Eventually I want to get the cassette tape for this from Iron Fortress. Really, really cool EP. Definitely go check this out if you like your death metal a bit more disgusting. Alright, moving on from this awesomeness to... oh, that's... never mind. That's weird to talk about. Okay. Okay, here we go. Well, that's not a whole lot bigger. The country album for this episode, Cody Jinks, In My Blood, which Cody Jinks actually is a metalhead himself, so I guess it's fitting to have him here. This is the best bridge from, like, old school country to kind of a more modern sound. Really, 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 really well done. I like the drumming on the album. It's not overly flashy, but it holds the beat really well, which is good because that's the purpose of drums. But the drumming in a lot of the modern stuff is either just hip-hop style drums that aren't even real drums, or it's just like heavy rock drumming. But man, Cody Jinks is a great vocalist, a really great writer too. I like the lyrics a lot. I like his delivery of the lyrics a lot. Musically, I found this very satisfying as someone who likes old school country music, which is something that I have gotten more and more into as I've lived in the South. Living down here in Mississippi, you hear a lot of country music, and thankfully I hear a lot of actual old school country music thanks to writing to work with my buddy who likes actual old school country music. So I've grown to love the genre even more, and Cody Jinks is, I think, one of the best modern artists who's making old school country. He's doing the genre justice, and I can't get enough of it. I don't know if I can pick a favorite song from this album or not. I don't know, Better Than the Bottle was such a good song. Lost Highway was really good too. Found, I forgot how good Found was too. That song's sick. Yeah, awesome album. Great songwriting, really, really good sounding album too. All the instruments sound really nice. Yeah, I'm a fan. I really like Cody Jinks. I had only heard one Cody Jinks song before listening to this album, which was David, which I really, really love that song because I'm weird and I like really dark content, I guess. But yeah, I decided to check this album out based off of that, and really, really loved it. Thought it was really good. Oh yeah, he also released a song called Snake Bit before this album came out that didn't end up on the album. That would have been my favorite song on the album. I'm kind of disappointed it didn't end up on here. So yeah, if you go check out Cody Jinks, if you check out this album, there's also that single that was really good, which I forgot to get the picture for because I never remember to do everything before I make these videos. But alright, let's move on from this and we'll go to Weft with the Splintered Oar, the first album from this band. This is a one-man band, though he does have some guests on it as well, but this is Charlie Anderson, who plays violin on a lot of Panopticon stuff. This is his album. He does the vocals, the guitars, all the songwriting, the bass, the violin, synth, piano, percussion. According to Metal Archives, he does a lot. He's pretty much a Panopticon and Austin Lunn on his own. And Austin Lunn, I believe, does the drumming on this album. Yeah, Austin Lunn does do the drumming on this album. I know that for a fact. I don't know why I said I think. I know he does the drumming on this album, and predictably, it's incredible. We also have Andrea Morgan and Jordan Day on this album as well. Two other very talented individuals. So it's more music from the Panopticon Pantheon, I guess you could say. Pantheon? I don't think that's the word that I meant at all. The Panopticon family, if you will. But Weft isn't just like Panopticon again. It's very unique. The violin takes a very front and center place on this album, which I guess that's to be expected from such an incredible violinist. Violinist? That doesn't sound right for some reason. I think that's right. Violinist? Violin player? Violin master, I should say. This music is like kind of haunting at times. I was actually kind of surprised at the variety in the vocals on this album. I think Charlie did an excellent job there. There's some really great highs in addition to the kind of lower, gruffer stuff. There's also some like really cool kind of progressive things going on this album, so it's got some neat surprises on it. There's also some really like haunting music sections on this too. Like the end of The Hole is really cool. Red Dawn also, I don't know if that's guitar or if it's like pedal steel or what it is, that does this sliding thing that is really unnerving, and I liked it a lot. But yeah, as far as atmospheric folk infused black metal goes, this is one of the best albums that has come out in the last decade, for sure. That's really high praise from me. This is one of my favorite genres of music, and this album was just, it's so good. I'm really bummed my CD copy didn't come yet, so I don't get to show that off in this video. I was very excited when this got announced because I really like Charlie's work with Panopticon, and I'm so happy that his work outside of the Panopticon band is also excellent. Really great album. I'm so happy this was as good as it was. Okay, what's next? We got Dolmen Gate with Echoes of Ancient Tales. This is an epic heavy metal band from Greece. And yeah, I don't know why I took a while to listen to this, because I did like the band's previous work. I'd listened to them before. I thought they were really cool, but it took me until like fairly recently to listen to Echoes of Ancient Tales for some reason. But I'm super glad I did. I'm really bummed I didn't listen to it earlier, because I would have been listening to this throughout the year for sure. So I guess I'll be listening to it throughout 2026 and beyond, because this is some really good heavy metal. I really love the lead guitar sound on this album, like the solo that closes out the 9-minute opening track, Souls to See, which super awesome opening track, by the way. Some people don't like a really long opening track on an album. I really don't mind it as long as it's awesome, and Souls to See is pretty awesome. Vocalist Anna is incredible. She's one of the reasons that I love this band as much as I do. I really love her vocals after the awesome guitar solo in The Prophecy. It's kind of a chaotic feel to that section of the song. I really like what her vocals are doing there. They feel really big, really massive vocals. And then there's kind of a similar thing again after another cool guitar solo in the next song, Rising Whispers, which those sections kind of reminded me a little bit of Castle Rat in a way, and Scimitar, which is pretty cool. I really like all these bands having sections like that in their music. One of the things I made a note of was the melodies weren't immediately like predictable in terms of where they were gonna go next, if that makes sense, which made it kind of a refreshing and interesting listen. I really like the chord progressions on this album. I like the guitar sound. I like the bass sound. I like the drums. I already mentioned the vocals. This album really has everything that I like in classic old school heavy metal, and not really anything I don't like. I think this is a perfect album. Genuinely, I think this is a 10 out of 10 album. Definitely my favorite heavy metal album of 2025. And again, a really cool album cover there. Also, I like the band's logo. It's really simple, but I just really like that font. I think it looks great. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to to recommend Dolmen Gate. Hopefully some of y'all actually go check these bands out. Definitely heavy metal fans, go listen to Dolmen Gate. This band is awesome. This album is really sick. I'd say for sure the best stuff that they've put out so far. This was incredible. Okay, we got 4 albums left on the list. Next up is Morbific, Bloom of the Abnormal Flesh. Look at that album art and tell me it's not one of the sickest album covers of 2025. That is so cool. Morbific is from Finland. Hopefully I am saying the name right, but yeah, this is once again some really gross old school death metal. What else do you need to know? Really disgusting guitar and bass tones. Really fun drumming that is actually one of the highlights of the band for me. Kind of like the first album I talked about on the first video, the Rancid Cadaver album. The drums aren't constantly in your face, but they're always doing something cool. Even when they slow down or just do something kind of mid-tempo, they're really sick. It always feels like that's perfectly the right thing the drums should be doing, even when it's not something that you necessarily expect, which also makes the flashes of blast beats and double bass all that more impactful when they do pop up. I mean, there's really not a lot to say. If you like what you're hearing, the sample that I've got here, if you like gross, dirty, filthy, nasty, disgusting, grimy death metal, once again, that's like one of my favorite things in death metal, obviously, as many times as I keep using those same adjectives to describe albums in my 2025 list here. Check out Morbific if you haven't yet. I'm sure if you're a fan of this genre, this specific side of this genre, you've probably heard of Morbific by now, I would hope. Maybe not, but if you haven't, go check them out. They're really sick. And yeah, again, one of my favorite album covers of the year for sure. These guys have become one of my favorite modern death metal bands. Okay, now we can finally talk about the band that I was going to compare the Wivre album to, which is Darkenhöld. Hey! Classic medieval black metal band. Back with a new album, the Fléau du Rocher. It's French. Of course, it's French. All the best medieval black metal bands are French. I'm sorry I don't speak your language. I should have looked this up, how to pronounce it. It's on me. Totally my fault. I'm sorry. Obviously, it's my fault. Why would it be your fault for using a title for your album that is in your own language? But yeah, again, I love medieval black metal, and Darkenhöld are definitely one of the most consistent bands in the genre. They do not have a single bad album. This one feels pretty similar to their last one. This one is definitely up there. I'd say it's at least in my top 3 favorite albums from the band. I don't know, it might be my favorite right now. I think, at least because it's the new one, it's my favorite right now, so it's the most fresh and exciting one. One of the things I love about this band is the keys, like in Gardien des Dryades. I don't know why I'm even trying. I'm so sorry. The 8th song on the album, we'll just say that, the 8th track. I really like that they have kind of a more dreamy quality to them on that song. Whereas the 4th track has a much more haunting feel from the keyboards. So you got like nightmarish and then you got dreamy. And they both work super well. They're really good at texturing, I guess you could say. All their instruments work really well together and also let each other stand out a lot. This is another album too where the drums were definitely one of the highlights, both in performance and sound. Like, I think this is my favorite sounding drums in anything in the black metal category that came out in 2025. And definitely one of my favorite drum performances of the year. Again, there are a lot of decisions in like what beat is played during certain parts that I would not have expected, but it works really well. It just makes it more interesting when you don't know what to expect next. The 5th track was a good example of that. Troubadour, I can kind of say that song title, that one was one of the album highlights for me. I really dug that one. I like the opening melody of the song. I like how it's kind of carried over through the rest of the song. It feels kind of like a classic, like, authentic medieval folk standard song played in a black metal style, which makes perfect sense for this band. I really liked the percussion in that song too. But yeah, Darkenhöld, super sick band. Really love these guys, and I think this album is really incredible. Also, really sick album art. Again, these guys tend to have pretty cool album art on a lot of their stuff, but this is one of my favorite covers they've had. Also, I really dig their logo. I've always thought that was really sick. Medieval black metal band with a castle in their logo. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Darkenhöld knocked it out of the park again. Or out of the castle walls again, maybe I should say. Definitely my favorite medieval black metal album of the year. Alright, let's move on to Cytotoxin with Biographyte. Biographyte. I'm gonna go with that. This is a German brutal technical death metal band that is really sick. I got into these guys when Nuclear Earth came out in 2020, so I've been hoping for a new album from them for a while. And as you might be able to tell, they are a Chernobyl-themed death metal band. Listening to these guys almost makes you want to stop playing whatever instrument you play because you'll never be as proficient as these guys are. They're just insane. And yeah, they're also that good live, which I know because in 2024, I was able to catch them in Pensacola, Florida, on their first ever US tour. I was super happy to be able to go with my wife to one of those shows, because yeah, I love this band. I also happen to like some of the opening bands too. Speaking of which, the show that I went to is actually on YouTube, and you can even see me in it from time to time. Actually, yeah, here, maybe I'll show some of my videos that I took when I was there. There you go. I'm not going to show any of the full concert on YouTube, though. You can go check that out on your own, and I do recommend it. And even more than that, I recommend going to see them live. That was one of the most fun shows I've ever been to. These guys were really cool. And this album is really dope. Maybe their best album. I really love Nuclear Earth, but Biographyte might be better. Once again, the songs are super technical. There's a lot of really crazy guitar stuff going on, some insane drumming, which, by the way, this is the first album to feature their new drummer, who goes by the name of Maximilian Panzer. Tell me that's not the most amazingly German name of all time. He's also the only one with like 2 names as his stage name. So we also have Fonzo and Jason on guitars, and man, are they incredible. VT on bass and Grimo on vocals. What a showman, by the way. He's an excellent frontman. He makes their live shows really fun. But yes, the band is super technical, again very proficient at their instruments, and I think this album really showcases that maybe the best out of their stuff so far. Maybe, I don't know, that's a pretty tall order. The opening guitars in the Everslave is like some of my favorite music the band has ever recorded. I really like that guitar line. It's got these like slides. I think it's finger tapping and slides. It's just really cool. Also, Bull Overdosed is such a good name for a song. That one's got kind of a similar thing going on actually with sliding finger tap stuff. And the band also continues on with the like really big epic moments in their songs. That's one of the things that I really loved about Nuclear Earth when I first listened to that album, and I'm super glad that they are continuing doing stuff like that. Transition of the Staring Dead also opens with some really sick bass. Everyone involved with this band is just too talented. I do also think this is maybe my favorite vocal performance from Grimo. I was also really glad that he brought back a lot of the pig squeals that didn't appear on Nuclear Earth as much, because the pig squeals are a big part of what makes Cytotoxin so much fun. And there's just some neat little effects here and there on the vocals that I liked a lot. I really like the layering of the vocals on this album. Actually, yeah, that's something too. I think this is the best sounding album in general from Cytotoxin. Definitely the best mix they've had. But yeah, these guys are masters of their craft. Super, super sick band. Biographyte, probably my favorite album from the band currently, and definitely go check them out live if you ever get the chance. They're really, really sick. I forgot I had the little poster thing here for that concert. It's not going to focus on it, but yeah, that's a really sick show, The Handlebar. All right, it's that time to reveal my favorite album of the year, which for the third year in a row, it is absolutely no surprise to anybody who knows me, because my number one of the year is Actuality by Inoculation. Yeah, no surprise there. Inoculation is an alien, extraterrestrial, kind of cosmic horror themed death metal band out of Ohio. And yeah, beyond these guys being my current favorite band, I knew this album was going to be my favorite of the year before the year even began, because I got to hear a good portion of this album at the same show where I saw Cytotoxin. And the same YouTube channel that had the full Cytotoxin show also has the full Inoculation show and all the other bands that played that night. So that's really sick. I get to relive that experience on YouTube. And also, yeah, I'm in the thumbnail for the Inoculation one. And every once in a while you can see me awkwardly shuffling about. And I have this album here on cassette tape, which I really love. I'm a huge fan of cassette tapes, so really sick. And I have it here on vinyl, thanks to the guys being kind enough to make sure they still had a copy for me when I saw them again in 2025 on their tour with Zoth in St. Louis, Missouri. I really wish that show was also on YouTube. That was genuinely one of my favorite experiences I've ever had. Beyond just the show being really sick, these guys are super nice, super awesome. Again, thanks to the dudes in Inoculation for holding on to this for me. Oh yeah, here's the back. Back of the cover is really cool too. So yes, Inoculation is my current favorite band. I think they are a very unique sounding band. The band has a lot of definition in their sound. Like their previous albums were in D standard, and the new one, Actuality, here is in C standard. But that was something I was asking guitarist Anthony Allen at the Cytotoxin show. So yes, Anthony Allen does the vocals and guitar, and Nick Nedley does bass and vocals. And again, Charlie Winters does the drums, and he also does some vocals. He does the closing vocals on Divergent Timeline. So yeah, I think this band has a really unique sound, and obviously I really dig it. I really vibe with it. Actuality is definitely their biggest sounding album yet, which, I mean, it's in a lower tuning, so that is going to happen, but the actual guitar tone itself is really heavy, while still retaining the definition that I love from the band. I really like how well the drums pop through the mix as well. The snare tone on all their stuff is really great, but I think this is probably my favorite drum sound the band has had yet, and the bass is also incredible. That's one of the things that I really love about this band. They're just a three-piece, but they sound massive thanks to Nick and Anthony they both kind of lock in together a lot, but they also do their own things a lot, it seems. I don't know, it's just kind of this thing where there are a lot of moments where they're both playing the same thing, but they're playing it different, if that makes sense. But the guitars and bass do go off in different directions fairly often. And hey, I love a good bass performance. I think bass is one of the most underrated aspects of metal music, and Inoculation thankfully have a really sick bassist that I would put up there with like Alex Webster of Cannibal Corpse. I just think he's that good. I really like his style. I like the choices he makes when he does like go off in a different direction than what the guitar is doing. Yeah, the bass is really awesome on Actuality. There's even bass solos like in Plasmic Mutations, which is my personal favorite song on the album. I love the music on it. There are so many good riffs in that song. There's the bass solo I mentioned. The vocals are really incredible, and lyrically it's my favorite song on the album too. I think it's just really cool all the way around. But I love the guitars too. I really like the kind of technical feel to a lot of the riffs, but then there's other parts that are just like a bit more straightforward. Like whenever they switch into just tremolo picking chords, it stands out as like really big, which they've been doing that since the first full length, since Pure Cosmic Thread, and it's always really cool. But I think like Structure of Secrecy and A Subtle Body on this album are probably my two favorite moments where they have done that. Charlie's a really sick drummer. I think somebody in a review I read described his drumming style as like militant, and I think that's a really good way to describe it. I think that has to do with his like really precise hammer blasts, which actually Inoculation is the band that made me really love hammer blasts. But yeah, Plasmic Mutations, A Subtle Body, like I already mentioned, Orbital Decay, Cerebral Transmissions, Unobservable Phenomenon. Those songs have just really great drumming. And Star Devil Predator, all the songs have great drumming. He's a sick drummer. All the songs have great guitars because Anthony's a great guitarist. All the songs have great bass because Nick's a great bassist. Oh, the vocals! I didn't mention the vocals. I think these are the best vocals the band has ever put to record too. Both Anthony with his kind of more gruff style, and Nick with his really disgusting lows and his really nice, mean, snarly highs. I think his highs on this album are definitely the best that he's ever recorded. I really like the heavy reverb they put on certain sections too to make it really hit. The opening track, Void Corpse Collection, also has a really sick music video that you should go check out. The opening of that song, like the way Nick's vocals come in, it's like, it feels very hip-hop inspired, the vocal pattern that he's doing there, which I think is really sick. That's something that I like to hear more in death metal. A Subtle Body is really sick too. I remember that one specifically when I saw them in 2024, I thought was just incredible. I really love the end of it the kind of start and stop stuff with the bass kind of filling in here and there, and the drums filling in the blank spots. It's really, really, really sick. Structure of Secrecy is really cool. I especially like the kind of black metal chord shredding section. I think that was really sick, and the lyrics are pretty cool in that one too. Cerebral Transmissions is just mean. Unobservable Phenomenon kind of reminds me a little bit of Gallery of Suicide by Cannibal Corpse. I don't know, something about it gives me the same vibes as like Sentenced to Burn. So that's pretty cool. Star Devil Predator, the album closer, is one of the most unique songs that they've done. I was gonna say I think that one's really sick, but I think all of these are really sick. I mean, obviously, there's a reason why they're my favorite band right now. There you go. My favorite album of 2025, to the surprise of absolutely nobody who knows me, because I have not shut up about this album since it came out. So yeah, there's that. That's it. We're done. My favorite albums of 2025, which I'm sure I'm probably going to find more stuff and be like, man, I wish that I had listened to that sooner and put it on my list, because that just always happens. But anyway, that's going to do it for this. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all of the bands that I talked about for putting out such great music. Yeah, that's it. I've got more video game playthroughs coming, and I'll have more music stuff next year. Thank y'all so much for watching.